Hey there, budgeteers. Are you ready to unlock the power of each payday and take control of your finances like a boss? Introducing the Payday Power Planner from New Money Habits. This isn't your average budgeting tool. Oh no. With the Payday Power Planner, you'll harness the unique rhythm of your paychecks to supercharge your financial game. Say goodbye to the confusion of monthly budgets and hello to the clarity of every payday. You'll know exactly when money is coming in and when it's going out, giving you the edge you need to stay on top of your finances. But that's not all. With the Payday Power Planner, you'll easily spot whether you're rocking a surplus or facing a deficit. Armed with this knowledge, you'll make informed decisions that set you up for financial success. It's time to transform your relationship with money and create the new money habits you need to achieve financial freedom. Get your hands on the Payday Power Planner from New Money Habits today and start making every dollar count. Don't let financial stress hold you back. Create a better plan for your money and seize the power of your pay period and thrive with the Payday Power Planner. Visit newmoneyhabits.com now to grab your free copy and unleash your financial potential. Coming up on this episode of the New Money Habits podcast.
And I find that if clients have SMART goals for every single piece, they have a deadline, they know how much money that they need to pay off that debt or build an emergency fund, and they're tracking it honestly and visually on a piece of paper, believe it or not, it is so big in building momentum.
And we are back with our friend Catherine once again. So happy to have you back on with us. And we're still kind of unpacking a lot of how you approach this idea of financial abundance. And part of that includes goal setting and having a target, something that you're shooting for. So I wanted to have you back on to talk about what does it look like in terms of financial abundance to set goals properly and to aim for something?
Well, thank you, Nino. I'm happy to be back. Financial abundance, it's so funny. When people first hear financial abundance and they think of that term, I ask this question all the time, so I'll tell you what comes to mind for like 80% of the population. It's I have a lot of money and I can do anything that I want with it, right? I have no restraints. I don't need goals anymore. I have a complete freedom with my money. And I'll tell you this, not that I've met him, but I bet you Jeff Bezos has goals for his money, right? And I bet you Bill Gates has goals for his money. And I know that those are two extremely controversial figures. So let me bring up a different one. I bet you Donald Trump has goals for his money. I bet you Hillary Clinton has goals for her money. She's I don't know why I said had. She's still alive. It's so
she gave up on her goals. No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so there's this idea that financial abundance means that you don't need goals anymore, right? You have so much surplus that you can do whatever you want. And that's just not the case. That is I have not found that to be the case. I work with people who sometimes they have 2, 4, 8, 10, $12 million net worths. They have more goals than anyone else that I work with. It's how they got there.
Yeah. Anyway. They have a plan, right?
That's right.
They have a plan for their money, which includes what they want to accomplish with it, those goals that they set. Absolutely. You can't have, I think it's more dangerous to go without a plan when you have significant surplus, because you are going to look in the rearview mirror and wonder, what happened to my money? Where's it all going? Why don't I have more to show for it? And I don't mean more in terms of materialistically, like, why don't I have more to show for it? But like, why aren't things getting accomplished that I would like to have accomplished? And as we have also said, financial abundance is not just about having so much money that you don't know what to do with it, but there's an abundance of peace and joy that come with the way you manage your money. So there again, you have to have a plan to manage well so you can experience that.
That's right. That's right. Can I tell you a little story? It happened this morning. So fresh, hot off the press, and I'm going to name no names. I was meeting with a potential client. I don't think I'm going to work with her, but I was meeting with her this morning, and she came to me because she said, "I don't know where all of my money is going," and so I actually did something I don't normally do, and I said, "Okay, well, give me all the details and give me, everything that's hairy. Send it my way." And not like that. I'm not like a weirdo, but not in session anyway. And so she told me she makes about $8,200 post tax. Her husband makes about $5,000 post tax. She listed out her mortgage was something like $2,200 a month. She had about $1,000 a month in car payments. She's paying for tuition for her kids and had all of these expenses. We went through everything that was something she had to pay, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Essential expenses. And it added up to about $8,000 a month. Now that's including the tuition, and that's debatable, but we didn't even go there. So I looked at her and I went, "You're missing $5,200. Where's that going?" And she said, "Well, I try to save $1,200 a month, but I can barely make it." I said, "Okay, well, where's it going?" And any time we got into that, like, where's the missing $4,000 or $5,000,
Mm-hmm.
she would tell me all of these excuses as to why it was going in all these different places.
Mm-hmm.
And then tell me that she kind of had a goal, but also didn't believe in it. She wasn't sure the life she was trying to make. She felt stuck. Her husband wasn't supportive. She needed to do X, Y, and Z in her life. And so I told her, "I don't think that you want the goals that you have."
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't like that. She's from the South. I'm from the Northeast. I'm very straightforward. She wasn't expecting it, probably. I tried to warn her, and she was not happy. So, but she also, I felt like, didn't actually want to make progress toward her goals, because anytime we tried to put details in there, and we're about to talk about making SMART goals, she shied away from it, clammed up, and it wasn't anxiety. I've seen that. It was that she didn't want it. She absolutely didn't. So I would say, as we start talking about goals, there are two things that you need before you make these goals. You need to want it, absolutely want it. And sometimes you put your actions before your feelings, and that's okay. And you need a vision for what these goals are going to be creating for you. Because if you don't believe in that vision of the life you're trying to make, these goals, whether you make them or not, are not going to happen. You're not going to know what you need to sacrifice to get ahead. So I declined. I didn't even offer to work with her. I was just not thrilled about her cadence.
Yeah.
But, mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we're not meant to work with everybody that comes across our path. Hey there, budgeteers. Good news can only be good news if there's bad news. So what's the bad news? The bad news is you and I have a deadly disease called sin, and this disease causes us to rebel and disobey God. See, God is holy, righteous, and just, and he cannot be in the presence of sin. So this horrible disease of ours separates us from the God who created us. And the bad news gets worse. There isn't anything you or I can do to make ourselves right with God. We are dead in our sins and on our way to an eternity separated from God. But that's not God's will for us. See, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. God did what only God could do. He made a way for us to be reconciled to Him through Jesus Christ. Jesus came into the world to save sinners like you and me. While we were still sinners, storing up God's anger against us for our rebellion and disobedience, Christ died for us. Jesus took the punishment that you and I deserve and have earned. Jesus is the substitute for your punishment and mine. Now, isn't that some good news? The word gospel means good news. The gospel of Jesus Christ is that you and I broke God's law and Jesus paid the fine. When we place our faith and trust in Jesus, we get to experience God's grace and mercy. Our gratitude should turn us from our rebellious and disobedient sin toward God, seeking after Him and His righteousness. When we do, God gives us a new heart and a new mind. Praise God for His goodness, and remember, God loves, humans sin, Jesus saves. I am curious if it doesn't divulge, too much information. I'm so pragmatic that like examples of what kind of goal would somebody have that they didn't actually want is incredibly helpful in me visualizing what's going on there.
Yeah, I think it comes down to values.
Mm-hmm.
So she did not want to admit to me while she was going through where that $4,000 or $5,000 was going, that she really valued comfort and convenience much higher than financial progress. So,
okay,
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and she didn't want to say it out loud.
Mm.
So, and to me, like, it's okay if you value comfort and convenience. Let's just balance that with financial goals and progress, if that's really where you want to go.
Right.
If not, I mean, I've met with people who make a lot of money, have a high net worth, and they say, look, I just don't want to overspend the income we have or set for retirement. Help me not overspend it.
Mm.
So, and balance comfort and convenience because they're high values. Fine. That's fine. Just be honest.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for sharing that example. So you said you were going to break down SMART goals. So I imagine for any of our listeners who are in the corporate world, you've heard the acronym SMART used for goal setting before. But when it comes to setting SMART goals for your money, how do you apply?
Yeah, that's a great question. Maybe we can hear from you too, Nino. So SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, right?
Yep.
And if you are setting smart money goals, they're inherently measurable because you put a dollar amount to them. You know the dollar amount you need for each of these goals or want for each of these goals. So measurable, great. That also makes it pretty specific. Okay. So it's specifically for building an emergency fund. It's specifically for paying off a piece of debt, whatever it is. Achievable, that goes hand in hand with the time bound, right? Yep. How long are you giving yourself to achieve this goal? And have you looked at your budget? So how much leeway can you conceivably create right now within your budget and work to create in the future, like when getting a higher salary or what have you? So what can you create in terms of that swing in your budget, the unassigned money? And it's relevant if it's building toward the vision that you have for your life or the life you're trying to build for yourself.
Yeah.
So those are SMART goals. And I find that if clients have SMART goals for every single piece, they have a deadline, they know how much money that they need to pay off that debt or build an emergency fund, and they're tracking it honestly and visually on a piece of paper, believe it or not, it is so big in building momentum that I get text messages all the time. Hey, Catherine, I paid off that credit card and I paid it off a week early. Can you believe it? Or, or whatever. They send screenshots of paid off student loans. And
Yep.
it's wonderful because it's so specific and it's so measurable that the sense of accomplishment in not just creating the SMART goal, but achieving the SMART goal is completely retraining their brains to think about money differently. So
Yep.
anyway, so that's my spiel about SMART goals.
Yeah, it's about setting it. It's about tracking it so that you can then achieve it. Right? If you a goal without a plan is simply a dream. So I dream one day of paying off all of my debt, or I dream of paying off this car or the student loan, but once you take that dream and set a plan to it, now you have an actual goal. Now you have something that you have set, you can track, and you can achieve. And I really like to remind clients about the timeliness of these things, right? So when we look at what is your surplus, how do you want to manage that surplus? Let's say you want to pay off a line of credit. That's your goal. And you look at the surplus that you have and the balance that you owe, and now you can start to map out, okay, so that should take me 3 months to pay off, or 6 months, or whatever that is. And I feel as though when clients start to hear some of these timelines, they get really excited, because I think in their head it's much further out, so it doesn't feel achievable. But as we start to really look at things more concretely and not just in the abstract, not just in well, I think I make more than I spend every month, and so there is a surplus, and so I should be able to throw more at that. Let's stop with the maybes and shoulds and woulds and look at it. Now we have the numbers. It's, hey, you have $3,500 out on the card. We can get $500 paid extra to that every month. We'll have this paid off in 6 to 7 months. Wow, okay, now I have something to go and fight for. So
Yeah.
got to be specific, got to be time bound, just like you said.
Agreed. I like asking people when they're making their SMART goals, how do you think that's going to feel when you achieve that goal? And usually people will give me some sort of vision akin to, standing at the top of a mountain, and and they've done this amazing thing that they just didn't think would be that achievable. And it's wonderful. I had a client the other day say, I didn't realize that I could pay off $35,000 of credit card debt in the next year. I didn't think that was achievable. But now they see the budget, they see the data, and we've built in the stuff you forgot. It's not like it has no fluff in it.
Right.
We build in that fluff and some of the annual things like repairing your car every once in a while. And they're like, wow, actually, I am paying off my credit cards and I didn't think that I could. It's only a year. I had another client who decided she was going to live off of one paycheck, and instead of both, and put the second paycheck totally to debt. I mean, she changed her whole life. I should write a case study about her. And she told me, I can do anything for 90 days. She was trying to pay off her credit card in 90 days. She said, I can do anything for 90 days. Like, yes, you can. And she did. She texted me the moment she paid off her credit card.
Hey there, budgeteers. Are you tired of feeling like your finances are running the show? Well, it's time to flip the script and take charge of your money with New Money Habits Financial Coaching. This isn't your typical financial advice. New Money Habits is about empowering you with the knowledge and tools you need to make savvy money moves and build a solid financial foundation. Here's the deal. We're offering a free discovery session to kickstart your journey to financial freedom. Yep, you heard me right. Free. In this session, one of our experienced coaches will help you to pinpoint your financial goals and create a better plan for your money. We're talking about mastering your money mindset, picking up practical money management skills, and having someone to hold you accountable along the way. So, if you're ready to kiss financial stress goodbye and say hello to a brighter financial future, then schedule your free session today to create the new money habits you need to achieve financial freedom. Earlier, you had mentioned this woman who you're not going to work with making kind of a mistake when setting some of her goals because she wasn't being realistic with herself. What are some other common mistakes people are making when setting financial goals that you see?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. We mentioned some of them, but I would like to reiterate because these are really common mistakes. Not having any fluff in your budget.
Mm.
So I don't know if that's a New England term. Do you know what fluff means when I say that?
Well, yeah, there would be some, you got to put some margin between you and in life. And so I call it a buffer, right? So buffer, fluff, same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to put in about 5% of income as a buffer.
Okay.
Okay. And by the way, I ask that like, oh, is that a New England colloquialism? Because for about a year, I lived in Southern California. I was putting on financial courses in person. And I said something, we were building vision, financial vision in class. And I said something like, okay, guys, give it some legs. And everyone looked at me like I was insane, absolutely insane. They're like, give it some legs. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah, you got to
And
get it up and running.
right. Like, let's go. Come on. And, build it out. And I stopped. I apologized. And I guess that must be from New England or the military or something. I don't know, but not didn't register with anyone in the class. And there were like, I don't know, 25, 30 people in the class. Nobody knew what that meant.
Wow.
And so I explained myself. So now I am more aware of that and like to ask. But that I would say not having margin is a common deflator. Give it some fluff and it deflates you when things happen and you feel like you're off track in your goals because of it. Also with things happening, annual things, right? So planning for cars needing to be repaired, houses needing to be repaired. Everybody has a leaky faucet every once in a while. That should be built into the budget somehow if you own a house or a car. I think two other common things that go wrong, and you could probably add to this too, just off the top of your head. One of them is not being able to maintain boundaries with family and friends. So in building your budget, I think a lot of people come back to me and say, well, but then it was my best friend Susie's birthday and everyone agreed to go out and split the bill. And then it was $125 for me. And I just wasn't planning that. And I had already gone out to eat earlier in the month and I didn't have anywhere to take it. And so now I'm behind on my goals. Like there are a lot of things that could be changed there, but
yes, indeed.
Yeah. So that's one. Any other that come to mind for you?
I think I wanted to kind of just reiterate one that you mentioned, but just kind of say it in a different way. And that is when you are trying to exhaust every additional penny towards the goal and you're not building in any margin for things like even just spontaneity. Like the friends called me up and we're going out. Now, like you said, we could take that in a number of different directions. And I'm going to go off on a tangent for like 13 seconds.
Do it.
That is boundaries. Set healthy boundaries, especially when going out with friends and saying like, hey guys, I would love to join. I'm going to be going Dutch, just so everybody knows, and just communicate. All right, that was my 13-second tangent. Back onto the regularly scheduled program here. But when we try to exhaust every single penny to the goal that we have set, whether it's a savings goal, whether it's a debt elimination goal, whatever that is, and we don't have any of that margin, you're absolutely right. We start to get burnt out, right? So it's not just I'm behind on my goal because something else came up and I didn't plan for that, but now I start to get burned out. And so when I'm working with a client and we are setting an aggressive goal, I still want some of that margin for things like you have to have pocket money. You have to have money that you can just spend willy-nilly however you want within reason, right? We always come up with a reasonable number, but a number where you can go through the drive-through and grab a cup of coffee if you want. And you don't have to feel guilty about, oh, but that was supposed to go to debt. No, no, no. We have your goal over here and we have margin in life over here. And so it's about balance. Now, you can't have I'm also a firm believer that you have to be focused in an area to be able to achieve. So when I have a client who's like, I want to save for emergencies and start paying this off and do this and do that, I'm like, hold the phone. Let's bring things into perspective. Let's prioritize and let's go through these methodically. But there still has to be a balance of there's money to live on and money to accomplish this goal. Otherwise, you will get burnt out. And after, your client said, I can do anything for 90 days. And it's about that. After about 3 months, people will be like, okay, like I need a break from this. Well, let's build in that balance so that you don't feel like you need a break.
Yeah, that client who paid off her credit card in 90 days, and it was like $9,000. It was not small.
Mm.
And she's single by herself, right? And one income. We talked recently, right afterward, and she went, I feel like I have PTSD from the last 90 days. She's like, I need to take a break. I need to take the next month, just be okay. And then I can work on some other goals. And we ended up talking through, like you said, I call them lifestyle goals and macro financial goals. You work on one macro financial goal at a time. And once you've achieved something like saving up putting a percentage into retirement, that becomes a lifestyle goal. Like that's a maintenance object.
Yep.
Okay. And so then you move down the list to your next macro financial goal, which we talked about last time and in different podcast episodes, and balance it with the lifestyle goals. So those lifestyle goals, like you were saying, having some pocket money. For me, gosh, I'm a sucker for pumpkin spice lattes. I absolutely love them. And I have to balance that. Yeah, they came out last week and I still haven't had one. So I know, right? I just have been busy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to my past self for not indulging.
It does make me laugh when the pumpkin spice season comes upon us, and it's the pumpkin spice lattes, but it's also the pumpkin cheesecake blizzards or whatever it is. Everything pumpkin flavored under the sun.
Can I tell you, this is like a guilty pleasure, but it's become a thing. I usher in fall with something that I call the fall haul.
Okay.
And my husband calls it my fall holla. And hopefully somebody's laughing out there. I thought it was funny. But I go to Trader Joe's because they have amazing pumpkin stuff and fall stuff, but they don't come out with it until like September 15th or something like that. And so I go and I load up on like all of their pumpkin stuff. And right now I'm clearing out my freezer for it. Okay. So we load up on all the pumpkin stuff, except for their pumpkin strudel, because that's like way too sweet. And then I put most of it in the freezer if it's not a baked good. And it takes us about 3 or 4 months to get through it. But it just, like, I love it, Nino. It ushers in fall to me. And I just feel like the season has come around. And it's one of those, I like to usher in seasons. It just makes it joyful for me.
I have more respect for Trader Joe's now, knowing that they withhold and they're closer to the actual fall solstice, and not doing what everybody else is doing in the end of August. August, still summer, folks. Like,
It is.
it's not fall yet.
Yeah.
Just a friendly reminder. September 21st.
Costco already has their Christmas trees out.
Oh boy. I love Christmas because of what it represents, but the fact that we just keep getting earlier and earlier and earlier with decorations and the like is something to shake your head at a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, so goals. Yeah, somebody should go into Costco and tell them that it is a goal to not have Christmas stuff out until at least fall. But anyway.
That is a goal.
That would be.
Speaking, that's a interesting segue that I didn't, or just a launching off point of something that I want to bring into the conversation that I wasn't planning on bringing in. But part of SMART goals, I think, could be tied to Christmas and holiday budgeting. And we've run out of time for today's special episode of the New Money Habits podcast. Be sure to join us again next time when we continue our conversation with our special guest. Remember, if you have questions, you can hit us up on social at New Money Habits. Can't get enough of the show? Ask your smart speaker to play the next episode of the New Money Habits podcast. And please consider leaving a 5-star rating and review. They truly help us spread this message of hope to people looking for a better plan for their money.